First responders and healthcare workers are often subjected to stressful and dangerous situations that can accumulate and take a mental toll. These incidents can leave what are referred to as invisible wounds. That's also the name of an organization that recently held its conference to support such workers. We meet now George Hebblethwaite from the Hanover Police Services. George, exactly how prevalent are these wounds in these types of occupations?
The statistics are somewhat misleading. Just from anecdotally, personally, I would say if you're not affected, you're one of the lucky ones to some degree. Each of us has what many people like to call a story, or more often than not, as you just alluded to, it's many stories. Not often can it be, or is it one singular event? It certainly can be, but it's been recognized more recently than earlier that it tends to be a cumulative effect of what first responders are exposed to over time. And there's only so much that a person can compartmentalize or kind of push under or ignore before it takes its toll.
We heard a lot about the toll on healthcare workers and also first responders during COVID, but COVID really just brought it more to light. This is something I know in your career, which is, over 3 decades long, George, you've had to experience these things multiple times throughout your career, long before COVID.
Yes, the pressure is always there. The healthcare staff, I think it was more pronounced because of those extra precautions that they were subject to above and beyond what police officers or fire or ambulance personnel were. They had to be in that environment virtually 24/7. The stress of that, particularly when you're dealing with the unknown, is difficult probably for anyone to describe. It becomes part of you. It becomes the way you have to live. I know personally, 20 years ago, I spent 1 year with the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Kosovo. And people that I worked with there said, when you finally get to take your first vacation away from here, you're going to be very tired. And I thought they were kidding, because I couldn't wait to go and do some sightseeing and whatnot. Well, what ended up happening was when I left that area, the first couple of days, I was dog tired. And the reason being is you're so hyper vigilant, not knowing it. You're aware of the dangerous environment that you're in. And there is an analogy there to the current COVID issues with the healthcare staff, I think.
How long have you been involved in this organization, and what does this organization do for people like yourself who experience these invisible wounds?
Yeah, I've been involved with invisible wounds since 2018. I've made some presentations. I've also been in MC as I am this year. It brings together an amazing group of folks. Today, for example, when the session got going, we ended up introducing people. We had persons from corrections, persons from probation parole, persons from the paramedic fields, fire, police, health professionals, Canadian Mental Health Association, and people from Nova Scotia and people from Vancouver are here today. So it's a wide variety of persons, a wide variety of experiences. And as I said a moment ago, everyone has their story. And it is something that just simply talking about things can help folks come to grips with some of what they may not be willing to speak with others about. But it's also good to know sometimes we have clinicians here today, and psychiatrists who are going to be speaking about some of the statistical issues and the pragmatic issues that lead to persons experiencing severe trauma and how it manifests in their lives, and unfortunately how it can manifest in the lives of their families.
When you were at the police college learning about what was going to take for you to become a police officer, was any of this discussed, and how have things changed over the years for young people now entering the profession?
Yeah, great question. In my time, no. It was, if there was a discussion, I have no memory of it. It was in the day, it was suck it up, buttercup. You better get used to this. If you showed any kind of weakness or or emotion about certain situations that you were dealing with, it was kind of frowned upon by many people. But knowing what I know today, all of us were suffering to some degree, but we were forced to, in the climate of the times, just kind of suppress that. Thank goodness there is a reality and an acceptance of just how devastating some of this work can be.
Thank goodness that people like you are helping with this organization, organizing events like this conference this week. George, thank you so much for joining us. Information can be found on invisible-wounds.ca. Thanks again, George.